Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour, the first for this week. We, in this edition of the program, are going to be looking at the killings happening in Bamenda and Buea to answer the question as to who does not want an end to the killings. Are we only left now for God to save us from what is happening, especially following the sad incident that happened out there in Buea, Southwest Regional Capital, with the killing of Monono John and Emmanuel Ikoki, who is lying at the regional hospital in a very critical condition. We're going to be having some reactions from the inhabitants of Buea, also getting a pulse on what is happening in Bamenda through our Northwest correspondent Charles Keba, who will be telling us how Bamenda woke up to this week. We are discussing this topic with panelists who are in the house. I decided to bring men of God to look at what has to be done. Are we dealing with physical or the spiritual element of this war? So in the studio with us this evening, we have Professor Mark Anthony. Good evening. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to my fellow panelists, and to fellow Cameroonians watching at us. And it's actually a sad day, considering the fact that one of my young brothers was killed today in Buea, midst of a traditional performance which actually something that is really sad, and getting also news that people were killed in Bamenda, and on Saturday, military people were killed in Santa. So it's just getting off hands. Something that's really painful.
The Baligam Palace was
burned yesterday, Sunday. Market was burned. So it is really unfortunate that we are living in a situation like this, and unfortunately, the persons we expect that should raise their voices at this moment and talk have decided to go silent. And not only that, those whom we are expecting that have the upper hand in resolving the problem are practically not saying and doing anything. Though we end up hearing that negotiations are ongoing. We need fast results. We don't want to bury children. We don't want to bury members of our families anymore. Painful. Both the family of those who are in the military are losing children. Those who are in the Amba are losing children.
Prof, yes,
losing children.
Prof, I was just introducing you. We're also in the company of Apostle Alfred Esingie. We are glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It's another sad time for us to come up again to talk this time on our nation, how our nation is going. If you are a clergy, at this point in time, you cannot sit quiet because it is becoming unbecoming. So we're going to look into that this evening.
Okay. Also with us is Prophet Samuel Tanyi. He's a clergy. We are now looking up to God because the Peace Crusaders and those who are supposed to be making their voices heard now are seemingly going to sleep. Even politicians, we no longer hear much from them. We're glad to have you, Prophet.
Thank you, and good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening, co-panelists. Good evening to the population that is watching. It's a sad day for us, and it's a sad period, generally, from what is happening. But we pray that God will give us wisdom this day to articulate the solution to this, and may God give a listening ear to the authorities and the people that need to hear what we have to say. All right, thank you very much, and God bless you all. Stay put.
Okay, we also in the course of this program are going to be getting the reaction of the national president of the PAP party reacting to what is happening in the Southwest and Northwest regions, specifically with what has happened in Buea today. And also Clarice Ekowe, our Buea-based correspondent, is also going to be telling us how the people of Buea reacted to what happened out there today. I will start with you, man of God, Prophet. Yes. Yeah. How do you understand how do you react to these killings? Has God forgotten about Cameroon?
That's a very big question to answer. Has God forgotten about Cameroon? The killings are very painful. And one thing that's even more painful is that it's the age group of people that are dying is mostly the youths. And they say the youths are the future of every country or every community. So is there really a tomorrow? Because if we calculate from 2016 until now, the amount of youths that have died as a result of this, is there really a tomorrow? And then we're looking at it on another side, we're asking, is it really going to stop? Because all parties are not willing to come to any negotiation table. Because even though they are talking about negotiation and dialogue, everyone wants the dialogue at his own terms. And now that all parties are not willing to come to any negotiation table, is there really a solution? Is there really a way forward? You know, sometimes for a solution to come, somebody has to drop his ego. Somebody has to drop his ego and drop some standards and accept to let go some things and accept to lose some things. And at this point, the amount of ego that's been manifested here is really, really strong. Both parties and the leaders on the both parties are really so strong in their will, in their willpower to execute that which they have planned. And especially as the urge for revenge is growing, because what I see, there's a lot of revenge also happening. You know, some people are into this, not just because of the political ambition, which for sure is a good ambition, maybe on both sides, but they're into it because my this has been killed, my that has been killed, my relative or this or that, so okay, I'm going to revenge. Some military people too are there, honor to my colleague, they killed my colleague, okay, I'm going to revenge. Today now, look at what has happened. It may spark up another thing. Who has been killed? Seems to be a neutral person. It seems to be a neutral party. And it may spark up some revenge. Some people may now rise up now and decide now to join one party or the other. Some people may now decide to join the boys or decide to join another party to revenge this killing. So at this point, we're in a fix where it is only a stronger force that can come in to try to calm some tension and cause both parties to decide to lose some values to come for peace, to come for peaceful negotiations in actuality, not just on paper or not just imaginarily, but in actuality. And that's where prayers come in, and that's where God comes in, and that's why I want to tell the politicians, even the people on the other side, the Amazonian leaders out there, they're all politicians. One thing we know about politicians in this part of the world, in this continent, is that they go to church and they go close to clergy figures when they want to be voted into power. But as soon as they are voted into power, they don't know that road again. They don't walk that road again until they die or until they're out of power. Now, at this point where I was expecting the church or the church to be called upon multiple times by the government and to look upon the church and ask for prayers, in as much as the political things are happening and whatever the governments may be doing, they are doing to bring forth peace. I was expecting the politicians to really go close to God in prayers and ask that, God, this thing is above us now. This is getting to a situation, a worse situation than the countries that have been into these kind of situations and how it ended. But it seems like everybody is just depending. On one side, we listen to some political talks. Some people are saying they should use military power to crush these people. At the other side, these other people are saying, oh, we're going to deal with them. We're going to deal with them. On another side, and I want to say clearly, these things are not going to solve the problem. The amount of bloodshed is already too much. And let's try to see how we can bring in God and how will God act. God is going to act. The Bible says the hearts of the kings are in the hands of God. God is going to act by touching the key players in this thing to say, let's drop some values and come to a middle point and come to a negotiation table and negotiate indeed, not just talking that we will negotiate, but negotiate indeed. But I want to tell all the governments that are behind this and all the people that if we keep using force, you will never succeed to achieve the good ambitions you have. You keep using force. I acknowledge that on the both sides, they have good plans, good political plans. If we look at it, all the plans are good. Now, everybody thinks his own plan is best. His own plan is best. Whether federation, whether independence, whether separation or whatever, everybody thinks his own plan is best. But God best knows. But if we can allow God to work on our hearts, and that can happen through prayers, and that can happen if the political figures give time, even in the midst of their campaigns and their meetings and everything, give time for prayers, time for the Bible, time for God, in the midst of all the plannings on how to resolve this. I think God is going to work on the hearts of the people, and even on the hearts of the activists, the hearts of the people on ground, the people who are actually manifesting the rage and violence. So, Mr. Leo, that's what I have to say in line with this one now.
Apostle, how do you, when you sleep in your house, you hold sermons, you hold preachings in church, and you get this feedback from Buea, from Bamenda, where people are crying, you ask God what is happening, or you are asking us what is not working?
Yes, one of the things I always consider when I'm faced with some challenges, especially when it comes with social upheavals and social vices, those dangerous things that are happening in the society, I ask myself so many questions. As a historian and also a social scientist and a clergyman at that, I do my best to make research and to find out how these things work. And from everything I have observed, I've discovered that this thing is a repetition of so many things that have been happening in other nations, and from the world, since the world began to have structures in the name of states and countries and all the like, it is usually the same all over. I know when we were growing up, we used to watch this Rwandan crisis, we used to watch the apartheid in South Africa, we used to watch a lot of those things, and we were like, it was like a film. But all of a sudden, it has become a reality because we see it every day. We see blood, we see people dying in the streets. So when you hear this thing, you feel so terrible because maybe we would have taken some precautions from the beginning. We would have taken some precautions from the beginning, looking at what has been happening in other nations and learning from what has happened. Because truly, if you have seen others suffer before and you don't learn from their suffering and you go ahead and you still repeat the same error, many things are still going to happen that will hurt you and your people. As a clergy, I feel so bad about it. I feel so terrible that people are dying every day. People are dying every day. Now, this death, you know, we are saying that they are just popping up now, one and one and one. But before, when this thing started, the death was very high. The number of people were very high. So that until we are almost getting used to, you know, after, it is the calmness that even made us to feel that, some people are still dying. Some people are still dying. It means that something is getting better. You must accept with me that we have been praying about this nation. Churches have been praying. International bodies have been praying. Other pastors have been praying. But we need people to come to the point to realize that wars are not won with guns. Prayer and also experts who are good in conflict resolutions should look into such a thing. And that's exactly what I'm looking at, Mr. Leo. When I look at it, I don't really just feel about the death that somebody died today. I'm like, it's a whole war. It's a whole big scenario. There are some places where people died and we don't yet know because they have not come to limelight. Those who have come to limelight are those that happen in places where people have phones that they could maybe record what happened. What about those other areas where people can no longer use phones to record those things and you don't know what is happening in those places? So we begin to say that instead of us attacking the deaths that are happening now, we should rather look at the bigger picture, the war or the crisis. How do we go about it and what do we do about it? So in the course of this particular discussion, I'm going to be talking some points and as a clergyman, what I have come out and what I see about what is happening in this nation and how we can approach it in order to make things better and a wonderful one for us, because these things have happened before. In Cameroon, we had this time of the Makiza and all these crises that are happening, all those things, and they came to an end. And this one too, I think, is going to come to an end.
Okay, this one is going to come to an end. We believe so. Now, you are thick. We have seen recent attacks in Bamenda, Buea, and other areas, but seemingly prominent voices are not being heard. Are they also tired? Is this not the time that we should hear those who call themselves peace crusaders, the representatives of the people, key politicians to at least make statements. Even from the regional assembly presidents for the southwest and northwest regions, we've had virtually nothing from them.
Mr. Leo, I am of the opinion that where leadership has failed. I won't mince words when I say most of those who sit and call themselves politicians are practically just out to exploit the people. This is the moment that they are needed the most, but little is heard from them, little is seen from them. And it is shocking that little babies are being killed, in fact, repeatedly, and I've not actually heard anything from those prominent politicians that we know in this country, from some individuals whom we are expecting to hear them talk. You just mentioned of regional presidents. I feel disappointed that the people we expect that should push on regionalism, or let me call it decentralization, are individuals who are just like painted tigers who do not have the voice to speak in the midst of any situation. When Caroles was killed in Buea, I saw how the people gathered, took the child, marched to the governor's office, which I expected that at that particular time, the regional president should make his voice heard. He stayed quiet, nobody saw him. The same thing happened in Bamenda. I didn't hear the voice of the regional president from the Northwest, nothing. Today again, when the young man was killed today in Buea, I still expected to see the regional president react. He did not say anything. So we might be sitting and thinking that we have individuals who have been, I know they elected them, in quotes, but who have been appointed to come sit, play over the gallery and watch things happen. So they are actually waiting for instructions from higher authority. They do not have their own voice. And that is where I am disappointed, because when the people actually elect you, if you believe they have elected you, then you should speak for them. You should be their voice. But this guy, whom we are calling regional presidents, are failing already when their work was supposed to have been at its best now. I'm expecting that they should take power into their hands, because they are the regional president, elected by the people, because normally we have elected representatives, municipal councillors who went ahead to elect regional councillors along with them went and elected the regional president. That to me means that he should have the power coming from the people, and he should actually reflect the people. It therefore means most of them have lost their position. Okay. And such is proof enough that they were not elected, they were appointed, and they are looking at who appointed them to actually give them directives.
Okay, let's get a first reaction there from Buea by an angry son of Buea. Express his frustration after what happened today.
Yes, it's rather unfortunate that we got up this morning and we learned that the gendarmes were on patrol, shot one of our brother who belongs to the Nganya group, who were last night parading the streets as a continuation to what happened at Yubi, where the Bakuri people went for a sacrifice. But when the gendarme approached them, they shot one of them, who died immediately, and one of them too was rushed to the hospital. So this situation to us, the Bakuri people, is a slap on our face. It's an insult to us, the Bakuri people, because we have done all to bring peace in Buea. And the activities of the gendarmes in Buea now is too bad. Without there will be a time that this situation will change. If the Bakri people are quiet till now concerning this Anglophone crisis, it's not because we are afraid, it's because we like peace. So our quietness should not be taken for weakness. We are sending a strong signal to the state, to the head of state Prof who commands this his so-called military, that the Bakri people are peaceful, the Bakri people are calm, and if they want war, we'll give them real war, because there will be a time that we will not accept all this nonsense that is happening. So I'm sending a message to them. We were there in the hospital, that we saw gendarme military came to intimidate the population, to take the corpse of our brother from the Bongo Square back to the mortuary, because they have guns. They use our taxpayers' money to buy them guns. So what we are telling them is that the time will come that all of them will run. They will run from Buea. We have put Buea in peace. No, it's not magic. Buea is peaceful, but they are pushing us to the walls. We will not take it lightly, and we are sending a strong signal that they should revisit their activities. They should revisit their activities, what they are doing to the harassing people in Buea. Tomorrow, go to the street, they will harass all the taxi drivers to collect money. Every day they will come and see young people, they'll collect their phones, and even in store, when they are being detained, they will go and be collecting 500,000 francs. The collection should tell that there will be a time we, the Buea people, will show that we are the doctors. Thank you very much.
Okay. Exactly what you were saying earlier on, that there are actions that provoke other actions, and especially when people are very, very angry, but to also note here that it's true we are in times of war, but that we should also be very cautious, especially our men in uniform.
Yeah, so what I would say about this is that first of all, I will not totally blame the military for what happened. It's a period of unrest, and anything that makes noise in a kind of time during the dark can be suspicious. Because in the past days in Buea, bombs have just been planted in places, in vehicles and everywhere. So to some extent, they are also acting on instinct. And on the other side, the population too is just trying to bring peace. The Bakwe people too, who came up with that initiative to do that, according to the tradition, they are trying to bring peace. And whatever they are trying to do is also for peace. And what I will try to say, what I will say in line with this is that we should try to be more cautious. I think that if I was part of that particular traditional group that's dancing for peace, we should have tried to see that we alert the authorities first. Let them know that so-and-so group will be dancing at this time. And so if they see any manifestation taking place, they should know that that is us. And also, I should be afraid to go out to make noise at this time when we know that there's a lot of patrol and there's a lot of bomb planting. And one thing also that I have taken note of is that most of the military people that are doing the patrol around Buea, the Buea area, they are of French origin. They are Francophones. There's something that happens when, you know, to some extent, when it is not your own tribe's people, sometimes you may not have enough human feelings. I believe if they could hear the local language, understand the local language of the people speaking there, and they could hear the kind of songs they were singing, they could understand that, no, these are our people. If the patrol was really mixed with people of the Bakwe land who are also in the military, they could understand that, like Chief Moja, who is part of the military. Why was he not part of the patrol? He could understand that this is part of something to bring peace and not a threat. And that's his crew. And that's his crew. That was attacked like that. So we'll advise people to be more cautious as they carry out activities in these southwest and northwest regions, because at any time you could fall victim in one side or the other, because everybody is seemingly a suspect at this time. And also for the military, to some extent we don't blame them, because they are just, in fact, they are afraid for their own lives. But we'll also say that it's good they try to be more cautious. It's like they are too trigger hungry. And they should also know that to some extent there is a spiritual force that is hungry for blood, that can control anyone who is a bit loose in his emotions, who is a bit loose in his temperament. Because this thing we are seeing, called the Anglophone crisis, or whatever is happening in Cameroon, is already bigger than the political state of the country. It's bigger than this country. The spiritual force behind it now that wants more and more blood to go is stronger than the political statements that have been made and than all the arrangements that have been made to bring peace. So it's something that prayers can really bring it down. But now, when we are moving, if I was in the military, I'm moving with, I'm doing patrol, you should be very prayerful and you should be very cautious. Knowing that there is a spirit trying to push you to spill blood. Just see how a little child was killed in Buea, I think 3 weeks ago or so, and now another one was killed in Bamenda. You look at it, if you really go and look on the side of the military, you will see that the man really made a mistake. Or something just pushed the bullet to go and hit somebody who is very, very innocent. If somebody was supposed to be hit in that particular thing that happened in Buea with that little child, it should have been maybe the driver. The driver who was maybe recalcitrant or something. But something would just push you now to go and hit the child. And in the course of it, he also lost his life. So there's a spiritual force. So all of us should know that there is something bigger. So before you want to do anything, you should really pray and you should be cautious that God should guide you. And the Bible says the steps of a righteous man are ordered by God. If God guides your steps, know that you will surely go out and come back safe.
Okay, let's get a reaction there from the national president of the PAP party, Mr. Dennis Njang-Tabe.
Yes, I condemn killings in all forms. I condemn torture in all forms. I condemn violence in all forms. The recent killings in Buea and in Bamenda goes in line with the multiple killings that we have witnessed for the past 5 years ongoing now, as far as this crisis is concerned. We start condemning. We have been condemning. We condemned that of Bebe Mata. We condemned that of Ngabu. We condemned that of Ayafo Florence in Pini. We condemned the recent one, the one that took place in Kumba. We condemned the recent one of Bebe Caroline. We condemned the one that has just occurred in Kumba, in Bamenda. Both the one that has to do with the military and the baby that was killed. And recently, look at what just recently occurred. It is. I don't know. It is really something that is a call for concern. It is really, really alarming. I believe that if we keep on condemning, and we have been condemning, what we are seeking now is a lasting solution. Because we condemn today, tomorrow, similar issues like this will occur. Targeted killings, innocent souls, stray bullets. That is not what we fight for. How many bloods shed should we share as far as this crisis is concerned before we can sit on the table and dialogue? I think it is what we should be doing now. We should be seeking solutions. I think we have come up with so many solutions. We have come up with proposals, declarations, and I think both sides should start reconsidering on how this crisis can come to an end. I think at the level of the government, we have talked on the government to create a ceasefire. Ceasefire just simply means to stop any act of violence or any act of pursuing any aspect of that. They are out to kill the Amba. When they create a ceasefire, and then they take drastic measures on how they can release everyone and grant an amnesty for those who are out, so that we can come in and sit as one country. Because at the end of the day, we have people who are bent on seeing that this crisis doesn't come to an end. There are some invisible hands behind. We don't know. For now, we cannot really establish those responsible for what. The recent one that occurred that just occurred in Buea today, that has led to the death of one civilian and one injured.
Okay, we've just been joined by the CEO of the Scoop Media Group, Larry Esson, who is a seasoned journalist. He's in the house with us. Your first take on what happened in Buea today, and also what has been happening in Bamenda days back.
Thank you very much, Leo, and greetings to these great panelists I've met here. In fact, I'm so humbled to meet them and to be part of this very enticing and why not worrisome a topic that actually has been the talk of the time. For the past 3 or 4 weeks now, blood has been running down our streets. Our children are actually sent into to tend to early graves, and it would appear Lucifer himself has descended down and taken hold of Cameroon today. It's a pathetic situation that one does not know who to probably blame in this situation. But I think, like I just heard one panelist say here, the panelist by my right, I think it's more of a spiritual problem now than just this physical thing we're seeing. Because why do I say so? A lot of things come to play in here. The soldiers that are sent to the war front, we know that it is not easy to go and fight your own. I mean, fighting your own people, the kind of psychological something, or probably the way they groom you towards to go to the war front is quite not normal. It's very, very abnormal. So you are going there with another spirit. And so when you come back, there is that need for you to be rehabilitated. But this has not happened to our Cameroon military. You know that. For the past 5 years, these guys have been going through trauma, going through fear, and, they needed, some of these guys needed to be brought back, rehabilitated, schooled, and then bring them back to normal, to their selves. It is not easy, because the impression, the kind of, morale and the spirit they give you when you're going to the war front is that which is not, it doesn't tie with our normal day lives. You're going for a kill. And when you come back, when you are sent to kill your own people, it becomes really difficult. I'm talking of their own people because those they are fighting are not foreigners. They are Cameroonians. And so in fact, with all these things put together, there's bound to be a lot of mistakes on the part of the military right now. They are tired. These guys are tired. So Cameroon has never fought a war before. And so some of these military guys are already worn out. They are psychologically defeated. Some of them are already in fears. They shoot not because they want to shoot, but in the process of fear. So it's quite, I think they need this process of rehabilitation. And why not those who are calling the shot there, for now, in fact, this thing has to be put to an end. Because if we really want these guys to come back, to really feel like, let's take a break and see how peace can be discussed profoundly and in-depthly and sincerely, because that is the only thing that can bring the much needed feelings together. We've been talking of social cohesion and all this social cohesion. Social cohesion cannot come in this kind of atmosphere. We need to have we need to have some of our people schooled on what has to be done now, and I think they know it. So we need to first of all make sure that the terrain is level for social cohesion doctrine to pass through. We cannot be talking social cohesion when guns are smoking. We cannot be talking social cohesion when your child is shot and then it's unfortunate. So I think there is something we have to do now. We have to rethink this whole thing. Is it really wise to go arms again in hand and say we're resolving this problem? And I agreed, we've gone this far, but we can always retrace. We can retreat and do something and come back to the table and talk sense. We are Cameroonians. There's nothing wrong in us taking back a country and bringing back our children to reasoning and say, okay, let's discuss this thing. Today, the other day, I heard the president of the House of Assembly asking chiefs to go back to those chiefs who are displaced, to go back to their respective chiefdoms. As if he had once, this is the same person who has not been able to table the problem before him. Other parliaments out of Cameroon have tabled it. He has the audacity to tell the chief to go back, to go and die, I'm sure. This is unfortunate. I think it's high time we faced our problems squarely and handled them the way we're supposed to.
G. Ako Peter, good evening to you. Albert Bibi, good evening to you. Fondon Richard, Chemel Vian, good evening to you. Jaden Ebok, all of you watching us on Facebook, we say good evening to you. Apostle Alfred Esingie, we are looking at the situation, very, very disturbing. How do we get out of what we are facing today? That is because the situation was getting calmer some months back, but today we have blood flowing, especially in Bamenda and Buea. We have the Funds Palace that was raised yesterday in Baligam. The market was also raised, and how do we get out of this?
Really, that is what everybody in the nation that has the nation at heart should be thinking of. How do we get out of this? The first thing is, how did it first come to play? What made it to happen? And why is it going on? And now we are asking the question, how do we get out of it? It's a long talk. It's something that's not going to happen in a day. We must believe that it's not going to happen in a day. But we must start from somewhere. Because from the little I know of what is going on now, a lot of people are trying to retrace their steps. That's why you see we are just trying to talk about, many people are not coming up again to talk like they were talking before. Because that bitterness, that anger, that all that this thing is suddenly dying down gradually. And we believe that there are right ways of which things can be done. There are very right ways through which things can be done, especially when it comes to a nation. We know that a nation, even common, let's just say, little marriage that we get married every day, is very easy to go to the court and then you pay a 50,000 francs and they give you marriage certificate. But to dissolve that marriage, it may take you 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or 7 years before that marriage can finally end. Because the process of settling disputes is usually not very easy. We should admit that. Now, the state should be able to see the role of the church. I salute all the clergymen that have been standing in front of this thing. Some of them, have gone through a lot of shock. Some of them have gone through blackmail. Some of them have gone through a lot of things, and because of that, they are trying to retrace their steps. But we want to say that don't retrace your step. It's now that we still need the church. We need the church. We need clergy people, and we need the government to also realize that the church plays a very great role in solving issues of the state, because the church controls at least the minds of people. The church can keep on. If the government work closely with the church, there's a lot of things, a lot of progress that can be realized. So let the government see how they can come in and look into things like how they've been talking, like the moderator of the Presbyterian Church have been going on, in the Catholic, a lot of other priests have been coming up to talk about this issue. That is a way to peace. And I tell you, they have been saying it, and the words have been echoing, and some of them have lost their life in the process. But this process must continue. The process of dialogue, we have had a lot of small meetings and dialogues that we're trying to see how to put it. It's not going to happen in a day, because in history, I've never seen something like that happen in a day. It is always taking a process. And let us not be rushed to say that we want to stop it immediately. Experts should be consulted. Because when we see people going to the field to talk about some things, some of them know nothing about this thing. A lot of people, that is why we don't just come out to talk. Because truly, I'm not an expert. I'm not a political expert. But I can talk as a spiritual authority in the nation. I can talk from the point to say that I think the church has a role to play. Let them just find some of these people that has a voice in the nation when it comes to the church and call them. Continuously hold meetings. Don't get tired. It's not going to be in a day. Hold these meetings continuously in different regions, in different places. Call them time by time. Discuss these issues. Let's keep discussing. Let's keep talking. As we talk, that's how we calm down the hearts of people. And we can do that. It's very, very easy to do that in this nation, because Cameroon already has that kind of morals, especially when it comes to the English-speaking section. They have a moral that when you keep on talking with them, you can easily pipe them down.
But yes, you want the government to engage you to also engage in the peace process.
Yes.
Once the government engage you, don't you also think that you have a moral responsibility to organize yourselves and talk to the government and as well as the non-state groups?
Yes. That is why I'm calling on the church and the clergy people not to stay calm. That's why we are here. We have taken the bull by the horn to say we will no longer sit quiet as we used to sit quiet. We also want to call on the state. And that's what we are doing. How can I go to maybe to the Prime Minister now to want to talk about it? Maybe the protocol will be very long. So, but this is a means through which I'm like calling for peace. I'm like telling that there should be peace.
They should make use of you people.
Yes, they should make use of the pastors, of the priests, of those stakeholders that can do. Some of the NGOs, they play a lot of role in this thing. We have a lot of our brothers and sisters coming out of the country who are going around taking care of those who are having, you know, casualties and all the like. These are some kind of people you can call and keep on talking with them. And this particular talk should not be in a day. They should not hold a 1 week talk and they think that it's going to be over. No, talks should continue going on. And prayer should be made for the nation.
Okay, let us move over to Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital, to get from Charles Kebwa what had happened out there today. Seemingly Charles is not ready. Charles Element is not ready. Once you're ready, let me know. Eli, but Professor Mark Anthony, we are looking at this. What would explain the resurgence of these killings? Things were relatively getting calmer, but today we do not know what news is going to be hitting us tomorrow from either the southwest or northwest region. What is happening that things are getting the more bloody?
You know, I got up today and I was like, for the past while, Buea has actually been relatively calm. It seems as if nothing was happening again. And all of a sudden, a baby was killed. In fact, a child of about 5 years was shot dead. And today, a young man was killed.
No, we had the two.
Okay, there's also a bomb that exploded the other day.
Yeah, killing a driver. And then we had the University of Buea.
One that actually.
What was the third? One exploded in a taxi, and that fortunately did not kill the taxi.
Actually removed the door of the taxi. A week after, it killed the driver. And the other day was the University of Buea, though I have my reservations when it comes to what happened in the University of Buea, because if we talk about a bomb happening, exploding in a classroom of over 600 children, the deaths would have been counted. So I have a reservation on that. And just look at it. This wave of, should I use the word, insurgents, is coming from somewhere. I want to believe there are individuals who do not want this thing to end. From both sides. From both sides. Because I can explain, it is true from a spiritual standpoint, who say they are under influence. But let's look at it from a professional viewpoint. Professionally, a military person should not open fire anyhow. They have been trained on that. Let's look at Carole's situation. There is no way the military person will trigger his gun and actually kill that baby will ever be considered as being an innocent person. He killed that child. Because by his principles, he should not open a gun on the car carrying children. And we will say maybe he's not see, but that's not the issue.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. I'm just trying to locate an issue. Then when we come back, I want to say that, okay, yesterday was kind of fear that provoked them to do that.
To open fire.
To open fire. But I think that being professional, they are supposed to control the way they open fire on whatsoever. Buea has been a city that I think most persons were feeling comfortable to go there, believing that, okay, things were getting calmer. But look at it. So I still stand on that point that I believe that there are individuals on both sides of the camp who don't want this issue to end. Why? Because they are making money out of it. They are feeding fat out of it. And as a result of that, they want to push things to any limit. Even though we are talking today of we want peace, there are individuals who are negotiating. If you realize, when it comes to negotiation, before you demand for something, you give something. When it comes to negotiation, you give something in order to shift grounds where somebody else can meet. But I've discovered that there are sides that don't want to shake. They remain stagnant and expect peace. The resolution to this particular problem has its ways going to come. But I want to believe that if it is taking this long, it's because some individuals have decided that it should not end. I will keep on singing that song. And as long as they are there pushing the buttons, we'll be losing many children every day, losing young men every day. And it's unfortunate that we are saying like this. It is not only civilians that are dying, military people are dying. Of recent in Bamenda, there were killings. In fact, I think 11 soldiers died, which is something that is not supposed to be called. In fact, we should not be seeing that. Today in Bamenda, 2 young men were killed. Amber boys were killed. When would it end? Today in Buea, a young man was killed. When will it end? It seems as if we are coming back to 2018, because I remember in 2018 was serious. We thought might be the thing was gradually coming to a place where, okay, we can now say let there be solutions to the problem. But every day we are being made to understand that rather we are getting deeper and deeper into the problem, rather than coming out of it.
Good evening, Mr. Leonard and all the panelists in the house. This problem has a solution, and that's for every Cameroonian to cross-examine themselves and ask themselves if they both come with anything. For the simple reason why it has taken this long is because some are benefiting from the crisis. Let's think humans, and we will accept that we are one unique people and we will not continue taking the lives of our own people. But it's the states or the separatists, as some will term it. Okay, Kakis, as I call you, Kaka, yes, writing from South Africa. We're glad that Vanessa came. She enjoyed and she went back to South Africa. Greetings to Vanessa. Yes, he thinks like you, that we are into some war business here.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's just more than war business. It is more of it's self-enriching, because a war business will benefit a greater majority of the people there. But when you hear a few people,
you will benefit war merchants.
Yes, that's right. A handful of unpatriotic and wayward persons have decided to hijack the thing and to keep the flames of the war burning, because they are making fast money from it. And you see, realize that the willpower to end this crisis is very far-fetched, Leo. It is far-fetched because while the military and police checkpoints are multiplied on our roads around the northwest and southwest region every day to control money, not documents, the ambas, or the separatists as they call them, are back there enjoying the booty they collect from kidnappings they've been doing. So it becomes real business, and then the lives of innocent people has nothing to do with these people. So why do you? It is very true. I mean, just good to say that if you stop this thing, there are many people who will probably go back to the bush and become themselves, armed robbers, because the situation, what obtains now in the two regions of the northwest and southwest region is quite pathetic. It is a money-making something. Every checkpoint is not checking documents, it's not checking anything, but effectively collecting money. And if there have been killings all this while, because except for maybe the case of today morning, the killing in Buea was resulted from a checkpoint, and there are rumors, of course, that the remote cause of that incident was as a result of the refusal of the driver to give in to a 500 francs demand from the uniform officer. Bamenda, it was the same thing. When I heard them singing, they said 500 francs, 500 francs. So it has become a situation where, warmongers are enriching themselves every day, and they will not want this thing to go. This thing is a chain, and they are not just doing it there. Those who are in charge of them, there are huge budgets that are pushed into the account, which they manage. You know how Cameroon manages things. So Cameroonians that we know how these things are managed. And so when they manage these things and they manage them poorly, you imagine that every other month a huge budget is pushed into your account to manage, and then you slice your chunk there, and then you want the thing to end. How would that money come again? So it has become good business, real business. I mean, and the perpetrators will not let it go. And I think it's high time some decisions are taken, and firmly to make sure that these people are stripped off from this how do I call it? Will I put in the positions they enjoy, or what they enjoy from this? It is unfortunate, because today, when you travel from Kumba, or from let's say from Mutengene to Kumba, you have about 14 checkpoints. What's that? What are we checking on the road? Are these boys? And yet every day there are explosives that are coming to that are in town. Yet there are guns. How do these things pass?
Okay, we have Ndukon. Good evening to you. Keba Charles. Good evening to you. And to you, Abongwi Fila. Good evening to you, Mick Mill. And all of you watching on social media. I don't know whether Charles Keba's element is ready. Can we get a feel on what happened in Bamenda today?
Yeah, welcome to the northwest region, where inhabitants actually still today will be sleeping with uncertainty after Friday's incident in Bamenda that led to a uniformed officer, while on usual patrol chasing a hillock, shot and killed a teenage child, little Tanto Brandy, returning from school in the Bamenda 3 municipality just a few weeks after the Buea incident of the killing of little Carol. Bamenda this Monday got up with sporadic gunshots given it was alleged separatist fighters stormed City Chemist roundabout and were moving through to the Bamenda Food Market, with sporadic gunshots, forced the town once more again to spur up fear. As we report, it is alleged 2 Amba fighters are said to have been killed amidst the sporadic gunshots this day in Bamenda. Inhabitants in Bamenda are of, which is even a ghost town observed in Bamenda might be a ploy to reinforce a call from a frontline diasporan leader, Anglophone artists calling for the school shut down. A decision many in Bakwa and the region have condemned vehemently, to say no to school shut down. I'll say it again, no to school shut down. Just to tell you, this time around in Bamenda, bike riders have been appreciated for their maturity and orderly manner. They turned out to both the cathedral and the Northwest Governor's office to express their pain over the recent killings by uniformed officers in Bamenda. It is time for reconciliation, for the lion and the goat to live together in love. Families live in peace and children grow up in security and the fear of the Lord. Be you a number fighter, a security officer or defense force, time we rebuild the relationship as Cameroonians and help return peace and stability in the two Anglophone regions of the country. Reporting for My Media Prime this evening, I am Charles Akebwa from Bamenda.
Thank you, Charles Keba. From that report, we're going straight to take a short break. When we come back, we continue with our discussions out here in our studios.
DSTV English Pack, your subscription enters a new dimension. Movies, series, novellas, emotions are more deeper in English language. Enjoy La Liga from the front row and the Premier League in immersion. On Nickelodeon, English is just superpower absolute. With E and One Magic in original version, reality TV becomes real TV. And on African News and Discovery, News and Discovery shines worldwide. Post new programs with a DSTV English Pack option of Color Plus and its 15 premium channels. Accessible as from 5,000 friends. Take advantage now.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime on My Media Prime. Prophets, this time around, I would like you to, actually, you've seen the videos from Bamenda. Two guys were neutralized, and one was killed in Buea. Is Cameroon actually under a very strong evil influence? We are talking about spiritual principalities in high places in need of so much blood.
Okay, the first thing I would say is that from the look of things and from analysis and statistics, the gun can never solve this problem. Acting by revenge, by pain and by anger, and by obeying your authority to go and kill the other party that offends you, that angers you, will not solve this problem. So I first of all stand to condemn the killings. And why I will ask some people the questions. The military have been trained in a professional way. They know what to do. Why are they not doing it the way they should do it? Why don't they even carry out the investigations or try to do arrests or sometimes fire warning shots or try to even immobilize a vehicle by deflating the tires, and they just shoot straight at human beings, unarmed civilians? Why are they becoming so wicked? Likewise, on the other side, those who are also killing the military, what's really happening? You just want to revenge. You just want to manifest a pain in your heart. I want you to know, even if you kill 20,000 military, it won't solve this problem. Military, even if you kill 20,000 or 10 million ambas or civilians, it won't solve this problem. And there are consequences for killing that will come upon you. I declare a curse upon those who are killing and killing and killing and killing. You will see your own consequences in the name of Jesus. Also, what I want to say at this point is that let God arise and bring a solution to this crisis, because it has really, really gotten out of hand. At this stage, we will say, like our moderator here, our coordinator has said, the spiritual world has been watered a lot with blood. And the more they give them blood, the more they keep asking for blood. And the more you keep trying to go about your activities by anger, the more another force will be using you. Because, like I said, I just said something in the previous chapter when I was speaking, that I don't totally blame the military, or don't totally blame the other people who are killing the military, and some people are against me. I'm not talking in the sense that what they are doing is correct. I condemn it. But I'm saying sometimes, maybe that has happened to you in life, it must have happened to you in life, that you did something really out of question, and you don't know what came over you for you to have done that, or it's only after you did it before you came back to your senses. We know that there are some people who don't want this war to end. At the same time, the people who are in the forefront, in the midst of trying to do what they are doing, there is another force controlling them beyond their wills and beyond their wish.
That's what Apostle Paul says. That what he does not want to do,
what he does not want to do, he finds himself doing it. So there is another force, and it's because a lot of blood has gone, and that force is not a force that wants peace. That's what you should know. That there's another force out there, that even you, if you come and you try to put facts at hand, if I try to calculate how many of people related to me that have been killed on any side, if I put those facts at hand and I want to now go and start to revenge, another force will take over me. So I'm just saying that let's try to pray and ask God for a solution. And some people are saying, all right, you and I are at the church. Oh, why is the church not talking? Why is the church not talking? Go and look at all the Facebook pages, the social media addresses of all the prominent pastors I know in this country. They are always talking, and they are condemning every negative thing. They are not on any side. They have not been bribed. For the best I know, for the ones I know, they have not been bribed. They are always condemning. But what's happening? The parliament, the politicians, they have decided not to listen to the church. They have decided not to listen to the clergy, because we may not have much to say as far as politics is concerned. We only come to tell them about peace. And maybe that's not what they need to hear now. That's not what they want to hear, rather. But that's what they need to hear. We'll tell them about peace. We'll tell them about a peaceful resolution without using guns and all this. And that's not what they want to hear. And honestly, there are some big people up there who don't really want this war to end. And that's what is happening. So we will tell them that, please, likewise, those of us who are in pains, those of us who are angry, those of us who are the victims, and those of us, all the parties that are concerned in this thing, try to give attention to the pastors. Even on private time, don't only wait for them to come on media, and if they don't talk what you want to hear, you start to curse them, you start to insult them. I know most often when I come on media like this, after that many people start to ask, all right, so what has God said now? Are we going to have independence or not? And you want me to only use God's name to tell you what you want to hear. Because if I tell you that, yes, we shall have independence now, you will call me a true man of God. If I tell you that, yes, we will not have it now, you will call me a false prophet. So what I will say is that I'm not going to answer those kind of questions, but why not try to listen to us when we say take these actions? And conclusively on this question, I will say, please, let the both parties drop their arms. Let us create a ceasefire and let the government try to grant amnesty and give a listening ear to some of the parties that really have the solution to this. The church is one of it, and there are some people somewhere, maybe some are in prison or in some places, who can really have a solution. They should select them and put them on the table and talk and execute. You know, so a lot of time talks have been happening and there is no execution taking place. So let's drop our arms. The spilling of blood is not a solution, and it will never be a solution. Thank you.
Okay. Apostle Esingie, the Prophet just spoke about the need for ceasefire. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres severally has called for a ceasefire. Many international instances have also done so. Why has it been difficult for both sides to hearken to this call for a ceasefire?
Like I said, it's not usually easy to just drop down things like that. It's a process.
Yeah, but at least agree for a ceasefire, and then you engage
No, because a ceasefire is very necessary. Now, let me tell you, most of the things that have been solved in nations is when everything was calm. You cannot be fighting and then things happen. There are discussions going all over the world. In Canada, in Swiss, in many other places, people are talking about the crisis. And I think the world already know now that there is a problem in Cameroon. And what we should try to do is to keep calm while following the process of peace. It's very important. Very, very important. We must keep calm. We must stop the violence. We must stop the killings. Because when they kill, we will only condemn. That's what we will do. The next thing that people will do, they will only condemn. And one of the things we don't want it to happen is for people out there to remove their eyes from Cameroon, because they may think that is a place where investments cannot go, better things cannot happen. So we become very backward and a lot of things begin to go wrong in the nation. That's what we're trying to say, that, okay, all these people are calling for ceasefire. We here in this studio, we are also calling for ceasefire. We are telling the people that it is important for us to play calm so that we can solve this problem, because the people at the helm up there are already working. And the truth about it is that it's not the layman that is going to bring solution to this problem. Experts are going to do it. And yours truly, even those meetings they are holding in different places, nobody from Cameroon is going to go there, or a small boy or someone holding a gun is going to go there to solve it. Nobody would do it. So allow these people that are talking every day to see how to solve this problem and calm down. Because when we say today ceasefire, the next day we hear a gun has shot somebody. And we also want to beg the drivers, please, we have realized that you have been the cause for some incidences these days. You know very well that these guys sleep in the cold. You know very well the tension that is in the minds of these military people at this moment in the nation. You know very well that things are happening. And you will come knowing that you are carrying people there, and you know that you're moving in the midst of people which risking the lives of these people. Well, what do you expect to happen? We are pleading with the drivers that please stand there. You know, you say it's 500 they need. That's what you said. So give them the 500 and go ahead, than to lose a life and cause an incident that is going to cause a lot of problems. So we are pleading. We are pleading. We have lost a lot of people already, and they are telling us that we should there must be this ceasefire, and it must come from the both sides. It must come from the both sides, and we want to plead that people should listen to servants of God. You should listen to pastors. You should listen to priests. You should listen to all the stakeholders that are calling us to calm down. Because in anger, we can never solve anything. Even in your home, when you try to use anger to solve a problem, you can never solve it. Instead, you will create another problem. At the end of the day, there will be other problems. So the ceasefire they are calling, they are still telling us that we will kill many more people. Many more people. If you don't cease fire, military will die, civilians will die, and all these people dying are citizens of Cameroon. And Cameroon will never be the same again if we don't do something about it. Let's try to keep the few lives that are remaining. Let's try to see how to keep them and use other methods apart from violence, apart from maybe shooting and all the like. Let the military look into this, and let our people also over there look into this thing, so that we all can see how to solve. Because a lot of people who took the front line before and we were fighting very hard, they are coming to realize that that method is not going to help. That's why some of them are changing stance at this moment. A lot of them are changing stance to tell you that the method they assumed before was not the best. The best way is to bring peace and calm. Let lives be preserved. Look at these beautiful lives that are being wasted. These beautiful lives, young children, and look at those children, very beautiful destinies they were carrying. Okay, look at these people, this man that died yesterday, died yesterday, this morning. You know, it has brought pain again, not only to him, but to their family. And to, okay, look, a lot of people. So we are still calling, let there be a ceasefire. Then, other processes can be carried out, whereby lives will not be wasted. Because these lives we are wasting from our own families, and some of us are losing our loved ones. And even if this thing ends tomorrow, we can never be the same again. We will always remember the loved ones, and we will always remember that hate, that hatred, that anger will still be there, and it will control our activities. It will control the way we relate with one another. Because of what? Anger can never solve a problem. It is always forgiveness. Forgiveness. You killed. Yes, you killed. I forgive you. We can move on and live a better life. But if we don't stop now I tell you, it's going to be very terrible because a lot of people are going to still lose their lives, which is going to cause pains in the heart of more families. And it will make Cameroon not to be stable for many years. It has happened in many other countries. We have seen it. Let us learn from that. It has happened in other countries. Let us learn from that. This anger will never help us. These men that are shooting is out of anger. The people that are retaliating is out of anger. Two angers can never solve a problem.
Okay, let's get the reaction, I'm sure, too, from Clarice Ikowe, painting the
My Media Prime TV, the African Eye. My Media Prime TV, the African Eye. Prime Hour, a round-up, debate and
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour. We're sorry for that technical hitch. At times we decide, and God, I don't know whether it's God or nature decides otherwise, but we are, however, going to be continuing with our discussion as planned for today. You were on before that, unfortunate.
Yes, actually,
we're talking about why nobody was ready to respect the call for ceasefire. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's because a lot of people don't yet understand the impact of war on people.
Okay.
You don't understand the impact of war on a nation. Yes, technologically, a lot of things can develop after the war, buildings, structures, and everything, but families will never recover. The loved ones will always be remembered. Graveyards will always be there pointing and telling people that they lost someone here. That's why we are begging. It's not forcing on people. We are just begging that let us avoid these post-war incidences that will be more dangerous on people. The military will never recover because they will be seeing blood all the time, especially those who have never killed before. There are a lot of people that have never experienced what it means to use a gun. Especially in Cameroon, the military people had never done that. But now, because of this crisis, they are now using it for their first time. Now, even the people in Southwest and Northwest, they now use guns. Do you think our children already understand sounds of guns? They know the different types of cartridges. They know the different types of guns. Do you think that our country will remain like that? I want to plead. Please, let's try to see how to make things wonderful. Let's try to make things go well. Let's try to make things come well. Please, we are begging so that at the end of the day, all of us can at least see our loved ones, grow with our loved ones, live and see how to do things. But there are better ways things can be done. There are better ways. We need experts, even at all the sites. Please use your best, use your experts to come up with logical arguments and reasons and facts. Let the priests, let the pastors sit up and keep on praying. Let the churches not be tired of this Cameroon already. Please keep on praying. Yes, we have prayed, but much prayer again would do wonders, would do miracles. So that's exactly what is going to help some things, because I know saying that there should be ceasefire is not enough. A lot of things have to go on ground before finally there is that ceasefire. But our people need to make efforts to see that this peace that we are calling and this peace that we are talking about should reign, because the people on ground suffer a lot of impact. Suffer, there are some areas that have not seen lights for months. There are some areas that even the water to drink is so terrible. All these things are happening. If some months or some years to come, there's going to be cholera, some kind of diseases that are going to come as a result of, dead bodies and other things in our waters, and then we are drinking some things that will finally kill a lot of people, a host of people. Even if we finally say that, okay, things come back well, those particular people who have lost their life from other diseases and other sicknesses due to the crisis, they will never recover as families. So we are calling on our people. We are saying that it's not as if we have not been seeing it. We have been seeing it. We feel very bad about what is happening. We feel the pain. We feel the age. We feel everything. But truly we saw that by power, nobody can prevail. By power, nobody can prevail. By guns, nobody can prevail. So that's why we are calling for peace and begging for peace.
Okay, let's get a reaction. Sure, I called for that. Clarice Ekowe, yes, let us tell us how Buea has reacted and is living after what happened this morning.
We are exactly around the Bonduma community fee area here in Bonduma, where the tragic incident that led to the death of one member of the Nganya Sacred Cult group, that is a Bakure Sacred Cult group, actually occurred in the wee hours of the morning at about 5:30 a.m. Presently, the corpse of the deceased has been laid to rest, but however, the incident that occurred earlier today has left many denizens of Buea worried, coupled with the recent happenings in Buea that has led to the death of some denizens of Buea. With the recent happenings 3 weeks back here in Buea, Mondays have actually become very scaring for inhabitants of Buea who prefer to stay indoors rather than risk themselves or find themselves into unforeseen circumstances. I am Clarice Ekowe reporting from Buea for My Media Prime Television. After the tragic incident that occurred in Bonduma, a neighborhood in Buea, in the wee hours of the morning, whereby a member of the Nganya Sacred Chord Dance Group, which is a Bakure traditional chord dance group, was allegedly shot by a gendarme officer after they were returning for their night performance. We are right here at Moliko Buea, one of the economic hub of the town. And as we can see, there is partial circulation of township taxis, and equally some persons could be spotted on the streets going about their daily activity. This is actually contrary to the situation that characterized the early hours of the morning, whereby in some neighborhoods of Buea, especially from Bonduma going right up to Clergy's quarters, the road was barricaded for some few minutes by the angry youth of Bonduma following the death of one of the youth of the area.
Clarice Ekowe, I understand the conditions under which you have worked today. It was not easy. I also remember how difficult it was for Charles Keba to go out in Bamenda to get the pictures out there for our televiewers. But we are very grateful for those contributions. Now, Professor Mark Anthony, is this also time for experts to be made use of? We've seen very little use made of historians, conflict experts, and a host of others.
Mr. Leo,
should politicians, to some extent, give way for the experts to work?
I'm sure that is not supposed to be a question. It's supposed to be the answer.
Okay.
Reason being that for the past while in Cameroon, we have realized that situations that come up are actually put on flames by politicians. Most politicians do not know how to solve problems. If we go back looking at words, for example, since the beginning of this crisis, let's go back to 2016. You hear terrible words that were coming out of the mouths of administrators, out of the mouths of politicians, where individuals will call a group of persons dogs, others will call them 2 cubes of sugar in a basin of water. So when you get all those kind of words, you get to realize that most of these politicians are the ones who have set this thing on flames. And so we cannot expect solutions to come from them. It is very, very necessary and important that we get the view and perspective of technicians in the field when it comes to conflict resolution. We have individuals whom had been very, very useful in conflict resolutions in other nations from Cameroon. I am shocked that in a time like this, when we are going through almost the same kind of problem, they are not being brought in. It's really shameful. And every day they keep politicizing everything. I say they politicize everything. a crisis that is consuming lives, a crisis that is making people, in fact, we are crying every day. The economy is failing. Everything seems to be going out of order. We end up politicizing it. It is shameful, very, very shameful. So I think, Mr. Leo, we should not be asking that question. We should be telling this, the government of Cameroon to make sure that they get to start using technicians, experts in the field of conflict resolution to deal with this problem once and for all. And I want to say that the call for ceasefire is not a new call. We have been calling. In fact, we have listened to leaders all around the world calling for a ceasefire and a negotiation. Sit on the table and talk. But what is happening? We have politicians in Cameroon who don't care. Let me use the word political leaders in Cameroon running the nation who don't care about the lives of the people, because it is already plain that if they actually cared, we would not have been in the sixth year of this crisis. It would have ended. Just imagine something that came up as a revendication ended up becoming a full crisis, in fact a war, where we are seeing deaths every day. When we have technicians, Mr. Leo, permit me use call names on your platform. We have seen somebody like Barrister Tumfo Nico Hale handling crisis situations in other nations, this nation. We have Mr. Christopher, this professor, yes, who is an expert. These are individuals who should be brought in to deal with this thing. We have Professor Willie Brod, who is an expert in this. Why don't they look into these guys? Call them forward. Come and present your position. And we had seen a crisis happening in a nation like Congo Democratic, where the bishops sat down and settled the problem. And we are talking today, the Congo that used to be so warlike, it is true that there are still lapses, but those bishops handled the situation. Why is Cameroon different? Why is Cameroon different? Why can't this nation actually look into the profile of individuals who have the capability to deal with this issue and deal with it and bring them in so that they can deal with the situation? We cannot keep on sitting on a high horse and expect to have a better country tomorrow. What is practically happening right now, Mr. Leo, is that the legacy of Mr. Biya is being destroyed. It is being burnt down. When Mr. Biya would leave the nation, he will be remembered for destroying Cameroon. And I think at the moment as we are talking, he is the individual that has the power. That ceasefire we are talking about here, he can call it in a single day. He can tell the military, okay, let's cease the fire. We are not saying that they should drop their guns, because normal, the military can never drop their gun. They were trained to hold guns. But if you call for a ceasefire, there is going to be an opportunity for solutions to come in. We can't be talking of resolutions when there are still guns in the field. Okay. Who will stand and talk to who when there are still guns?
Yeah, Larry Esson, don't we have persons in Cameroon capable of finding lasting, we're talking about sustainable solutions to the ongoing crisis, and why has it been difficult to get such persons involved in the search for a permanent solution?
Why has it become really difficult? Why has it taken that much time for people who matter, who really are experts in this domain yeah, to come in or to be brought in? Leo, you know that they are there. We all know that they are there. We all agree that they have even given contributions towards seeing how this crisis can be put to an end. They have freely even offered themselves to be used as Cameroonians to help in this thing, but you know they are blacklisted at the end of the day. So I asked, because most of them are blacklisted, like you just cited Professor McAtee, just cited some names here. But when you go to the government books of these things there, they will tell you that these people are not the best of people. And that's where the problem lies. The problem lies in the fact that those who are really open-minded and willing to do it, in fact, to help us move away from this situation, are not really wanted by the powers that be. Why so? I think there is something that somebody is hiding somewhere. Is it that government is not ready to address the situation, to put this matter on the table and talk about it? Because what baffles me is that we've had several parliamentary sessions from when this crisis started till this moment, and not even despite all the cries from all over that this matter should be tabled in parliament, at least let parliamentarians who are lawmakers and those who we look up to, let them debate on this issue and come out with a tangible solution that can be tabled to the president. But then you know that nothing has been happening. Nobody. I remember when the SDF party went on rampage at the National Assembly because the problem was not listed on the list of matters to be heard at the Assembly. Now, it tells you what? It tells you government's unwillingness to address these problems squarely, probably for fear of, for fear of digging out facts that may probably bring them to understand that, okay, this is what we are supposed to do. Now they are talking of, I think the fears are that at the end of the day, whosoever is brought in will come back to address the matter, to address the fundamental issue of this, which is the form of the state. And that is exactly what the crux of this matter is, the form of the state. Now, some ministers and some people have said it's non-negotiable, but I think if it is a solution, if it's going to be a panacea to this problem, why don't we? The state was not a republic from onset when the two brothers came together. It was a federal republic of Cameroon. It moved from there, metamorphosed into a United Republic of Cameroon. And today we're talking of a Republic of Cameroon. When the people realize that, when they say it is not going, or probably they look for need something, why do you gauge them, or cage their ideas and cage what I mean, people should be able to discuss. It does not matter what the problem, but let people sit on the table and talk what is expected to be talked. And that's exactly what the situation is. When we're talking of dialogue at surface level and talking of people, there are people who can be consulted. We have technicians, we have historians. There is Professor Victor Julius Ngo. We have Professor William. There are many who can be consulted properly and put on the table to handle this issue. They should trace back the situation, and then we have conflict. Complete revolution experts who can effectively give us the way forward. Because from what we are saying, it's like we are taking the second step before the first. And so we have to start from where conflict resolution starts, how to start it. We're starting from scratch, and then we start moving. At the end of the day, I think we will be getting to somewhere. Now, I just want to say here that in as much as we are looking for means and ways of resolving this problem, I will also want to call on the other camp that has stood firm unshakable, that is not one of the, it doesn't befit conflict resolution. They must also move a step ahead. A step towards seeing how we can meet up and discuss something. We will not be static. Every other time that there is a call for probably a meeting, even within themselves, there are other factions that will criticize. There are other factions that will so at the end of the day, one begins to wonder what they really want. It's not fair. At the end of the day, we start asking ourselves, are they serious? Is somebody really serious out there? Because we are those suffering. So it is high time they also talk and they put their heads together and know that at least at the end of the day, if somebody is going to talk for them, no matter how small the person is, no matter from which group he comes from, no matter from whatsoever leaning he is going to talk on their behalf. And when they come back in their fold, they are able to, they kind of try to see how they can arrange and put themselves in as one person to be able to meet up. Because the greatest problem now, Leo, is who are we really addressing? Because the other day, the Canadian situation is, in fact, it's just a recent situation that has really baffled me. Because some people were called. It was not a situation where all the separatist leaders, all the separatist factions were supposed to be called. Some people were called. And it was not even a dialogue with government. It was something that had to do with themselves organizing and seeing how they can, forge forward and form a kind of a united front in order to table or probably face the dialogue table whenever it comes. But unfortunately, it was taken otherwise and dramatized by other camps that were not part of it. I think that's not how it's got to be. It's supposed to be that at the end of when those people come back, you people meet and say, Master, how did it go? So what is supposed to be done? This is what would have been done. This is what would have. You beef up your ideas, and then when next there is a meeting, you are coming prepared. But when you come in dispense round, you're working in dispense round. I don't see much of progress made by you. It's like you are very adamant and you remain just stuck in one place. Now, at the end of the day, let me go back to a little bit to the spiritual aspect of this and the men of God. The men of God the church has a primordial role to play in saying to it that peace return to this country. That is a truism. And if that has to happen, it is not just physical. The physical might be just 30%. But I think we have been praying, but we have to do more than that. I think we have to do men of God and Christians, not only men of God, and Christians have a duty to seek the face of God. The Bible says, God said, if the people that are called by my name can seek my face, can diligently seek my face, I will answer them and heal their land. The God we are serving today is the same God yesterday and forever. And that means that God is ready to hear us. There is nothing that is above God. We may think it is all ended, or it is we have reached a point of a saturated point, or a point where our backs are all on the walls. But God is not God. That is not God. That's when God started acting. I remember the situation in Egypt when the Israelites were in Egypt. When Moses came for the first time, when he was sent to Pharaoh the first time, and he did what God told him to do, and it didn't work. Moses did not relent. He continued, he persisted, and he heard from God and continued. I think it is high time the men of God and Christians now seek the face of God diligently and hear from him and push forward the peace process in this country.
Okay. What should men of God do? What can you guys do at this instance? You're inviting everybody, you call for 1 month fast, or you gather yourselves, knock at the presidency, and also knock at the doors of separatist brothers?
Okay, what the men of God have been doing and what the church has been doing, I know there are several pastors' associations at the level of the regions and the cities. And there are also national pastors' associations. And what I've taken note of is that all the time that these associations meet, they always have one of the main points, the target, is to pray for a peaceful resolution to the conflict, because it's really, really affecting this country and it's affecting everything. And we know that it's only God that can intervene now and solve this problem. It has really gone out of hand for politicians and for whatever they can do, even though they must try their best. So I will just keep calling on the men of God to keep praying and let such more prayers be done, especially for the hearts of the kings who are the main controllers of this conflict. Let their hearts be touched and be softened. Because one thing I realize is that if we look at the facts on ground, it is like people have lost their humanity in seeking for a political agenda. People have lost their humanity. Just see the kind of gruesome killings and just see how, and at the end of the day, the innocent are more affected even than the people in power we're trying to fight. All right, I want to really ask some people, How many soldiers will you kill before you think that the president of this country is going to be touched or it's really going to make a point? And I also want to ask the other group of people, how many Amba boys, Amba fighters, and supposed Amba fighters and civilians are we going to kill before it will really, really change what we want to change in this country? Then how come we have lost our humanity in the cause of fighting for peace or whatever political ambition? So that's where prayer comes in. Let prayer be able to soften the hearts of the kings, because one thing I realized that there is even no sign of remorse. After a baby Caroline was killed in Buea, another one was killed in Bamenda. And you see, where is even the remorse of these people who are holding the guns and shooting indiscriminately and unprofessionally? There is even no sign of remorse. You don't even see them coming out to say, oh, we are sorry. Even their spokesman will not even say anything that will even appease the population. We instead say things to defend their people and provoke the population and make people more radical. There's no sign of remorse. So you see, like what I'm saying is that hearts have been so hardened. So in as much as we are praying as the church, let's be praying that God should bring some form of humility and humanity to the leaders, the political leaders of the both parties. Let them be able to drop some values, drop ego, and come to a negotiation table. Not that all my points must be met, because that's what they've been standing for 5 years now and counting. And nothing has happened. Instead, a lot of innocent people have lost their lives and the economy has gone down. But if they can say, all right, I'm willing to lose some values. If you two are willing to lose some values, let's come to the negotiation table and we negotiate now and we get done with this. Yeah, so that's what I'll say. And may God really, really help the situation. And I want to also talk to the government. Try to call some pastors from time to time to the negotiation meetings you are having and resolution meetings you are having after some of these things, like what has happened in Buea. How many priests, reverend fathers, pastors or moderators have been called to say, all right, what is the way forward? Stop only asking only yourself. Stop only talking within yourself. One of the reason things are happening like this, like my fellow panelists were saying, is this government really, really serious to solve this problem? And we are talking about calling in people, experts. How can they call experts? The government has a system. They have a clique of people they work with. They will never stop working just with those people. And some of the people who call themselves youths in this government are people who are already on wheelchairs. The people that are controlling the affairs of the government, they are on wheelchairs, diaper-wearing people, and they are the ones there who will be consulted again. They are the ones who will be spoken to again, and they are the ones they call now experts for this thing. For the government to really come to a place of calling real experts who don't have an eye on something, who cannot be corrupted, who cannot be bribed, and who will give a way forward, and the government will be willing to follow that direction, it is only God. I know this government I'm talking about, okay, and I know the situation. It's only God.
It's only God. Let's get another reaction from the national president of PAP, a party. Seemingly that reaction is not ready. Let me know once it's ready. But it's been a very, very tough day for His Royal Highness Chief Moja, because the person who was killed in Buea was very close to him. Actually, there are videos that show Chief Moja weeping profusely at the Buea Regional Hospital this morning. But Chief Moja just sent me a video. Let's have a got it.
Nous, on reste toujours pour un Cameroun et un indivisible. On va toujours combattre les sécessionnistes en Amazonie. We stand for one and indivisible Cameroon. We still fight for Cameroon to be one and indivisible. True or false? True. Cameroun, oye? Oye. Okay. Il y a un diable qui veut nous déstabiliser. There's a devil who wants to destabilize us. True or false? True. No, stand for what? One and indivisible Cameroon. I don't lost my beginner. Yes. Me, my name now. Moja. Amba, Inshallah. We'll stop for fight Amba. No.
Okay, just to say our condolences still to you, Chief Moja Moja. You know how difficult it is to have lost someone who is very, very close to. But what is striking is the fact that he says that there's a devil in the land.
Yes.
That's
recognizes
the fact that there is,
there is an evil hand.
Yes, in the land. So something is definitely not well, but the church needs to do more. Eh? You want government to come and see you, or you organize yourselves?
Now, let me tell you something, Mr. Leo. When we talk about rehabilitation, it is the church that rehabilitates people better.
Okay.
That is it. Rehabilitation is not putting some people in maybe a camp and then trying to arrange them. The church works on the minds and the hearts of people. The church preaches everyday love, peace, reconciliation, preaches against greed, taking that which does not belong to you. The church preaches all that. And that is the role of the church at this moment, to rehabilitate people. The truth about it is that, okay, for example, after the everything, like our fellow journalist was talking here, he was talking about they will go take these people to go to the camps to rehabilitate them, to get them again revived before they can go ahead. Now, what about the locals who also experience such impacts and such shocks? Who is going to rehabilitate them? Who is going to put these people back to order? Who is going to make these people who have seen their loved ones die, who is going to make them come back fine? It is the church. The church will preach messages of peace. The church will preach messages of love. The church will preach messages of forgiveness. The church will pray for people, and the church will visit people in their homes. That is the role of the church, and the church is playing it. The church must not necessarily sit in those big meetings that they are holding every day in Yaoundé and other places. The church must not sit there. The church has a role. Okay, for example, we have people, internally displaced people who left and then they are around. We see them every day. We help them, provide for them, give them food, give them shelter, show them love, and encourage them to tell them that life continues. That is a great work the church is playing. The church must not only deal with them. That's why I say that experts, people must know their roles. Sometimes people want us, okay, you people are not doing anything, you people are not doing anything. What do you expect us to do? We are experts of the Bible. We are experts of the church. We are experts of the hearts of men. That's our own role. Every other person is playing their own role. Pastors will keep playing their role by encouraging people, even though we know that some other people are doing funny things and everything, but genuine people are doing a great work in the hearts of people. And that is exactly the role of the church in Cameroon, rehabilitating people, taking those who are running away from some of the war-torn areas and teaching them love, forgiveness, those who lost their loved ones. That is what the church is doing. And we beg with our brothers and sisters, stop fighting the pastors. It is not also easy with them. The pastors is not easy with them. They are going through a lot because they don't have only people in front of them. They have people all over talking to them. They have people calling them and threatening them and warning them every day. I cannot count how many times people have called me and threatened me. They call me and threaten me, but that is not my role. The role you are playing is your role. My role is a pastor, praying for people and trying to rehabilitate those who are suffering from the impact of a crisis that is destroying and tearing us down every day. So, like I said, Mr. Leo, the pastors must not go to Yaoundé to attend ministers' meetings and all the like. The pastors will keep on preaching reconciliation, love, peace, and then against greed, against taking that which does not belong to you, and some other kind of things. And that is what will bring peace to this nation. And I tell you, everything will go wonderfully. So let every pastor, please, encourage pastors. Encourage pastors. You don't expect them they are living with a small means, and you're calling them every day trying to warn them that they should bring this one, they should bring this one for you. How would they survive with their own homes? They are also suffering from the impact of the crisis and those kind of things.
Hi, good evening, sir. It's Wilson from Gabon. Just want to appreciate your good work since the start of this crisis. Just that the government may not be serious. Continue your good work. God will answer us one day. Okay, thank you, Wilson, writing there from Gabon. Eli, if the element is ready, let me know, please. Okay, this one says, good evening. I'm Mr. Peter Kings. Good evening to you too. Okay, curse is on those who are using the blood of God Almighty's children for occultic and political ambitions. Jonathan is writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Jonathan. Mr. Liu, I really doubt the bishops and the priests of our other regions. They are killing people. No bishop on the other side has ever come on air to condemn. Okay, good evening to you too. Good evening, Mr. Leonard. Preaching love is the way out. Eric is writing from Tico. Good evening to you, Eric. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists on board. Mr. Liu, everything has not been said on this panel concerning its war on this platform. It's good most members on the panel are men of God, and one day God will answer us, okay? Emil is writing from Jotin. Esther from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to everyone in the house. Mr. Liu, is really a sad one for me. The boat camps don't want to stop. It's too bad. Sue Remy says, wars hardly end in an endemic corrupt nation. The corrupt people with selfish interests will always puncture all peace moves to keep their dark industry in flourish. The corrupt have no solutions. I believe there will be a liberator someday who will shout stop, and the people will hear and make peace. Ma Bison writing from Kumba says, good evening, Mr. Liu and members of the panel. Just happy that Cape Town is represented. Okay? Yes, Larry Esong is here. Success writing from Krebi says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu, the Amber Boys are already used to intimidating people with the guns they are holding, and some militaries are now taking money from drivers anyhow, so they would not like the crisis to end. Okay, Daisy from Kumba says, good evening, everyone. I'm really missing. Okay, yeah. Now, Tiku Felix, let me take his own. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Okay, you see, I beg, read all. I'll go read them. Like the Israelites, don't you think God is also using this to bring Cameroon back to himself? Cameroon before the war had left God. I say this pondering on the visit of the Grand Master and reason why he came. The church turned a blind eye, but a seed was planted to fortify those that lead, and this is the fruit of that seed. Make I no lie you. Make I no lie you. This nation had been handed to occultic powers. That is why you must be part in order to belong. God turns his back from his beloved Israel when they derail, such that even a very small nation like I could defeat them at war. But when they repented, God intervened, and they were strong again. Until Cameroonians repent, God remains quiet, and occultists continue to rule, and they lead empowered with the blood spilled. Until the place of God is given and their voice is heard, peace is far-fetched. Besides, the war is causing more to be won for because of fear. Okay, Tiku Felix is writing from Buea. Professor Mark Anthony, is a community also helpless from what is happening?
Mr. Liu, when you live with people who have guns and the least thing you do, they come in to intimidate you, you go against their orders, they come and burn the markets to intimidate you, go further to burn even our palaces. What do you expect? That's just to make you understand that they have gotten to a state where the communities have become very, very afraid. So I know most of the times there are calls that people should rise and stand against this and that. But it is practically difficult to stand against a person with a gun in his hand. Because the moment you rise against him, he can fire you down and you will be the one who will not be there. So I am of this opinion that the communities, in fact our various communities, are actually suffering. I mean, from both sides. They're suffering from the hands of the soldiers, they're suffering from the hands of the Yamba boys. And in such a situation, they are just now obeying those whom, in fact, those who come with guns, they listen, they obey them. If you come with your gun, whether you are from the military or from the Amba, they respect you because they want to protect their lives. So I've been on platforms at times and I hear people talk and say that the communities know they can stop the thing. Stopping it is not really the problem. If only they can stop and seize the guns, then it will not. We'll be sure that okay, it will not happen again. But as long as guns are in their hands, in the hands of the military and in the hands of the Amber boys, there's nothing that the community can do. So the community is helpless, practically helpless. So we should not push people to go and die in the name of you need to react like this or that. We should be looking for ways to seize guns out of our communities, which means that the government should call for a talk. And I think this talk has been for long. We have gone into the 6th year of this issue, and I keep on hearing on va discuter avec qui, on va discuter avec qui. I am sure that there are people to discuter with, and such persons should be called on the table so that this talk can be done, so that this problem can be solved. You see, there is no taboo when it comes to resolution, conflict resolution. Allow people to bring their various opinions, and we discuss on these opinions and see how we can come to a compromise. Without that, one side saying that this is what we want, one separation, the other one say that there will never be this and that. That creates an atmosphere where there's uncertainty.
Okay.
It creates an atmosphere where individuals will keep on dying. So
Okay.
there is need. I mean, there is need that at this particular moment, let the government not come on a high horse, let the Amber boys not come with their so-called, they should come with an open mind. Let's sit and talk. There's necessity for this to be done so that this problem can disappear.
Good evening, Prime. It is clear that there is a spiritual hand now in this crisis, because how can we explain the fact that one and the same thing happens over and over? I am not sure that even the people pulling the triggers are conscious of what grips them before the acts. I think God's time has not come to act upon this nation, because the solution to this crisis still lies in our hands. Remember, God will only do what we can do to prove that he is God. Bulaf Sunila, writing from Buea. Bulaf, very, very long time. Glad you are watching. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Let the panelists know that the separatists had grouped themselves ready for the Swiss talks. Okay. Good evening, sir. I'm Fon from Limbe. To live 25 years now in Cameroon is connection. Okay. Yeah. Good evening to the panelists. I'm Kizito from Buea. I think it is high time Cameroonians and the world wake up to the reality that each time the world or people sit to discuss peace and safety, sudden destruction follows. And this is clear spelled out in the Bible in 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The consortium in 2014 is an example. You can name the rest as history reveals. The events happening in our world today come to increase our trust and reliability in the Bible, because it has before time told us those things would happen. This troubled war is not our final home, and there is nothing in it worth killing a human being for. Peace is only in Jesus, and without him, you can't enjoy peace anywhere. Okay, let's get the reaction from the national president of the Popular Action Party.
All right, as I was saying, the recent killing that took place in Buea and in Bamenda that we have been all raising alarm on it. It is a call for concern. You realize that, as I was told, that some guys who were suspected by the military of being Amber were trying to carry out some rituals at Bongo Square, and they mistakenly took them. And that's what we have been saying. Today we hear of targeted killings. Tomorrow we hear of stray bullets. Tomorrow we are hearing of kidnapping. Today we hear of torturing. So, be it military, be it Amber, be it innocent civilian, at the end we are losing the Cameroonians. Cameroonians are the ones losing. So, it's time that we need to sit and talk. We have over-elaborated on this. Those who feel that they are benefiting from this war should start rethinking. How long will they keep on sharing innocent souls for their selfish desires? How long will they keep on initiating this? I don't know which party is responsible for this, but I think it's high time we need to sit and talk. It's high time that whosoever, the invisible hand, that they are benefiting from this, their moment is coming, the moment has come where they have to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. I think we have oversaid everything, and I believe that with God, because after everything, we are putting everything in the hands of God, and I think time has come where we have to say enough is enough. Let's see, be whosoever. We are gone with blames. We have don't carry out manifestations. We have carried out riots. We have carried out a lot of demonstrations, denouncing here, denouncing there, condemning here, but see yet nothing is moving. So it is time we need to see and see how we face our country, because at the end, Cameroonians are losing. There will be no winner. There will be no loser at the end. The highest loser are us, we the Cameroonians. Thank you very
much. Larry Esson, your final words. What should be the path to be taken by the population, the military, non-state armed groups to bring down the level of blood flow in our towns?
I think the first thing I want to say is that there should be restraint on both sides. And such restraint can only come from mutual understanding and from those who call the shots on both sides. In fact, if they can come to a little understanding, because as we all know, when the elephants are fighting, the grass is suffering, and the grass is the common man that you and I, the children who are being deprived of life, who are sent to early graves, the young men and women who are receiving bullets, surprisingly, those who are suffering. So nobody is even safe as at this time. You and I, nobody is safe, especially those of us who are in ground zero. So it is the first thing I want to say is that let there be restraint. Let the major stakeholder in this thing, government, because the Cameroon government is the major stakeholder, they decide today to say, okay, let this thing have an end. Let's address it profoundly. Let's address it deeply. Let's address it overtly, with all the ramifications, every other thing that comes with. It's going to happen. So I think that the government has a role to play, either to call, in fact, for something that is going to be more elaborate, more inclusive, and also to take measures that will also not, that will enable the other camp to feel that they are at least something is happening. Because when you keep a good number of brothers and sisters down there in prison, and we're talking of appeasement and dialogue, I think it doesn't speak well. Mancho BBC, for instance, did not carry a gun. What is Mancho still doing in prison? Because he expressed his opinion. Should Mancho be imprisoned for his opinion? That's another thing. Mancho did not, his arrest and detention and subsequent imprisonment was not as a result of the fact that he handled this thing. So, in a nutshell, let us all let the government handle it. The separatists, my problem with them is that they are doing things in dispersed ranks, and they are not like ready to face, if the government calls today, they are not ready to, I'm not sure they are ready to probably defend and do what is expected of them. So I think my advice is that they should sit up. They should sit up, constitute a good front, and also see how they can judiciously represent their own camp when it comes to that. Finally, the population, I want to say we should be very careful. Let's be cautious. These are not the time. The times are really not too good. We must not find ourselves in the wrong place at a given time.
Okay.
The drivers should also be very conscious that this arrogance and foolhardiness on the road does not pay. They should respect the road controls. After all, it will not take all your time. So when you respect it, you save lives. You're saving lives, including yours. So it's not time to kind of bluff and show that you're the most powerful driver in the world. So please, the people's life is at stake. The people's lives are at stake, and so you need to be humble, you need to be obedient, and need to be responsible.
Okay, we have come to the end of today's edition of the program. Prof. We're glad to have had you today.
Thank you. And so, lastly, I will say that if you look into the struggle the government is putting to bring an end to this crisis, you see that they are frustrated. Don't you think that you need God? We look into the struggles, you see the various fractions among the Amba leaders. Don't you see that you need God? Only on ground, how many generals are against themselves? And then that way, Ayaba is against this one. Don't you think that you need God? So I pray that God will, but I believe there are still good politicians in Cameroon. There are good leaders amongst the Ambazonians. There are good people where God can select the right people to come to the negotiation table for this thing to end. So that's my prayer. I'm praying that those good people whom God can use, and also we spoke of people like experts, those people that God can use to bring an end to this bloody conflict. Let them be touched this season, and let that thing happen the sooner, the better, and let peace return to Cameroon. And I prophesy to us, peace will soon return in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Thank you too for coming, Apostle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Issues, but these I had to come because it had to do with it has gone out of hands, things have gone out of hands, and we have to tell the people that we are aware of what is happening, and please, people should be careful how they go about their daily lives, and people should do everything to make sure that they come to one agreement. And we want to say that we should not lose our humanity. We should also feel for our loved ones, feel for those who are losing their lives. Some people have lost families, some people have lost, and people are still losing. So please, we are calling on us, let us exercise some restraints and try to be careful. Watch how we go ahead, because you know that the atmosphere is not good now. Watch what you say, watch where you go to, and what you do.
Okay, we also want to say thank you to you, Prof.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Leo. No conflict ends with arms. I said no conflict. Conflicts usually ends with arms. So there's necessity for those arms to leave the field.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you too for coming.
Well, it's a pleasure, you and the entire panel here. I'm grateful, and kudos to my Media Prime team. You've been doing a formidable job. My regards to the CEO, Mr. Tambe Brand, for moving the institution forward every other day. Thank you.
We also want to thank everybody who took time off to watch the program. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.